Is Trinity Trigger a great RPG, an excellent RPG? Is it a masterpiece? That is the question. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Is Trinity Trigger a great RPG? That's the question we'll be tackling on today's episode. Welcome back to Our Joy of Gaming. This is going to be a casual review of Trinity Trigger. I'm not going to get into every nook and cranny of this game. That's not what this channel is all about anyway. This channel is about the joy of gaming, and I tend to only play games that I'm pretty sure I'm going to like. So I'm not here to rain on anyone's parade. When I started hearing about Trinity Trigger as a Super Nintendo style RPG, I was immediately drawn into it. I'm all ears. When I hear that, yes, tell me more, tell me more. Then when people started throwing around the idea that this was a spiritual successor to the Secrets of Mana on the Super Nintendo, I became even more intrigued about it, especially since a number of people who worked on Secrets of Mana also worked on this game, from world design to music, and that's awesome. And Secrets of Mana, of course, is one of the greatest RPGs of all time. And then I saw some of the hand-drawn graphics, and I was like, I'm in, sign me up, let's go. The game makers were kind enough to send me a review code to play the game on the Nintendo Switch, so that's what I've been playing it on, is the Nintendo Switch. I'm about a third of the way through this game. If you think about 30, 35 hours or so to get through this game, 25 or so if you don't do any of the side quests, I guess. So what do I think of this game? Well, I wanted a game that wouldn't take me months to complete, that could, scratch that nostalgic itch for me before Tears of the Kingdom came out. And boy, did I get my wish. I'm in love with this game. I'm just going to say it, guys. I love this game. I love the combat. I love the hand-drawn characters in this game. I love the helpful hand-holding that the game makers provide to help you start your journey as you level up. They're there to kind of provide some helpful menu tips and tricks and augment your weapons in order to make them stronger. And I'll say this, I'm not a frame rate kind of guy. I don't really care. I love watching a great movie on a 4K television, having that surround sound experience, but I play a lot of retro games, right? And so I don't really care about frame rate, but I have to say I'm enjoying this game, playing it in 60 frames a second on the Nintendo Switch, and it looks buttery smooth, and it looks frankly gorgeous. And I've been playing it on my OLED Switch when I'm in bed at night, and also on my 4K television, and both experiences are fantastic. But there is something kind of amazing and somewhat intimate about kind of getting all cozy in my bed with a cup of hot tea and getting all nice and warm and propping my head up nice so I don't get neck fatigue. And then I put on this gorgeous OLED Switch screen, and it's right in my face. I've got my glasses on so everything looks crisp and beautiful. The colors and the characters, they look so damn good. I just love looking at the detail of the enemies in this game as well. So let's talk about just the conceit of the game. The basic overview of the game. No spoilers here, I'm not going to do any of that. So the basic overview of Trinity Trigger is set in the world where the gods of order and the gods of chaos have been in constant conflict, but they've had this sort of relatively long period of peace and tranquility, and we learn all of this right at the beginning of the game. Again, no spoilers here. Then hundreds of years have passed during a period of this relative calm and peace, and then suddenly things start to unravel. And then you, the protagonist, Scion, who is the main protagonist, realizes that he is actually a warrior from the chaos side of things. So he's got to defend the chaotic side using triggers that fell from the heavens thousands of years ago. And then he has a trigger named Flam, who can transform into different weapons that you keep unlocking as you level up, and different triggers. And your beginning trigger is a sword, and then you level up to a bow and arrow, so now you've got 2, and then you can unlock all the way up to 8 different triggers per character, and you get to play with 3 different characters. So basically, you're the warrior of chaos, and you should want to destroy the side of peace and order, but nope, suddenly you've had a moral problem. Your moral compass goes off. So you need to team up with a group of buddies to stop all of this. And there's people trying to hunt you down, and you learn that there are people trying to kill you and take you out in all of this. And they're creeping around the woods. There's some thieves that are coming up, and it's really good. The story is actually really good. It's translated from Japanese, and you can switch between the two of them in the menu if you want. And it lets you get right into the gameplay. Right from the beginning. You're at home, you're talking with your sister, and boom, you've got to solve some stuff and go out on this moral quest. Get out the door, brother, go. You just had some dinner. I'm making you some food. Now go out there and make some stuff happen. I love that because I have a huge backlog of games right now, and I don't want to waste tons of time on exposition and dialogue that kind of puts me to sleep. I kind of went through that with Fire Emblem Engage. I loved Fire Emblem Engage, but I started playing Fire Emblem Engage after a long few work days, and I started to fall asleep. Those first few hours of playing Fire Emblem Engage, the storyline, the dialogue just kept going on and on and on. I'm like, come on, enough already. So those first few hours were a little painful, a little slow for Fire Emblem Engage, and then it took off and it was fantastic. But no, this game, you cut right to the chase. Like, I don't need all of this 2-hour dialogue to get me into this story. Just let me get to the combat. And you do. So you go out, you start swinging your sword at some gels, which look very much like, of course, Dragon Quest slimes, which is great. I'm all there for that. I'll take those gels. Again, instead of holding you back, the game pushes you forward. It's also respectful. It's respectful of me. Look, I'm a father of 3, and I run 2 businesses with a bunch of employees. I have a wife. I have a dog. I've got a lot on my plate. I don't get a ton of sleep, although I'd like to. So don't waste my time. I just want to play a great game. And this game even lets you run fast. If you want to push forward on the Joy-Con, you can like speed through a level. You can run right past stuff. If you've been in this forest before, let me just run past it, okay? Time is money. Oh, and once you unlock different shrines, then I can fast travel between the different lands. Want to go from snow to the desert pretty quickly. Boom, you can do all of that. And it gives you just the right amount of hints at the right amount of time to help you learn the game. It doesn't inundate you with tons of menu options. You've got to go to this menu, this submenu, this submenu, this submenu, and you're like, what? No, it gives you like 3 or 4 little dots at a time. Great, I can swallow that. That's how I do that. Great. And then, an hour later when I've done another leveling up and I'm beat another boss, I've get some other menu options and I can learn more about the game. That's perfect learning speed for me. But this game is also really about the combat. Yes, the story is great, but to me the combat is why I asked this girl out in the first place, right? I saw her, I asked her out on the date. It's because of the combat. I'm in love with the combat. You can freely control one of 3 characters in the game. You can switch between them anytime you want, and they have their own triggers. So with each new ones, you can unlock as you level up. So you're getting all of these additional triggers that you can learn with each of these characters, and you can kind of rotate between the characters so it keeps it fresh, it keeps it fun. And that's what I want with this style of RPG combat. I feel like I'm back in my Reading, Pennsylvania basement as a 13-year-old boy down in the basement playing RPGs, trying to figure this out. There's enough complexity there in these weapons options and some of the stop, dropping, and rolling, getting out of the way so I don't get hit by, some of the poison gas that keeps me coming back for more. That's, I literally feel like I'm sitting on that old brown couch in my basement in Reading, Pennsylvania, playing a great RPG. Oh, and that actually reminds me, if you do get poisoned or you get slowed down by some of the toxic gas or any of the enemies, you can take out some potions and you can get your groove back. So again, classic RPG tropes here that you're going to love if you love this kind of thing. And of course, the same thing with hit points. You get some low hit points, you pull out a potion, you're healed up nicely. And you get super potions, fully healed. And if your buddy gets killed, you can pull out a revival potion and bring him or her back from the dead. I've been having a lot of fun fighting these small to medium bad guys, and the boss fights. The boss fights, I gotta say, they are challenging. They're not Metroid Dread challenging, where you want to kill yourself after trying to beat a boss 40 times. Yeah, that was me. Yes, that was me. I will admit it. There was one time, I think I played the same boss over and over and over, and it literally took me like 2 hours to beat it. That was me. No, these bosses are challenging and they're fun at the same time. The character designs are just great to look at while you're fighting these bosses. But I will say this, guys, it's not all peaches and cream. No, I have a few little complaints that I want to kind of address here. So during the combat, I wish there was a way to turn off some of the voice acting during the combat, because it was, one of the characters, Elise, I think, is repeating over and over and over every time she fires an arrow. Bullseye, bullseye, bullseye. I hit him, bullseye, like nonstop. Bullseye, bullseye. Okay, we get it. You keep hitting the bullseye. I don't need to hear it every time.
Yeah.
Got you, bullseye. There. Got you, bullseye. There.
Bullseye, bullseye. Yes, I get it. Also, the text scrolling. Not a huge fan of the text scrolling because it's a little too slow for me. I read, I think, at a normal pace. Maybe even I read quickly. So I would love to be able to speed up the text scrolling option. I wish there was a menu option that would let me put it on the fastest speed possible. There is no adjustment right now. Maybe they'll have some sort of an update down the line that will allow you to do that. That would be great. Right now, though, it's just kind of slow and I'm kind of waiting. And I hate having to smash the button every time to speed it up and spit the text on the screen. I wish it would just go a lot faster. You know, there's ways to make it in other games go fast, and I love that in some other games. Let's do it in this game as well. And also, some of the dialogue between the two characters is a little slow as well. I mean, there are times where, you know, the male protagonist is speaking, and then there's a nice long pause between the female dialogue picks up. You know, oh, I don't want to go over there. Why would we want to go into that forest? Why don't you want to go to that forest? You know, it's just, okay, can we tighten that up a little bit? So some of the dialogue, I don't mind the dialogue. I think it's great. I think the storytelling is great. I just want that sped up a little bit. So that's just one gripe that I was having there. There's these awkward pauses between these dialogue lines. Also, another little gripe that I have, I'm not a big fan of the NPCs during exploration and combat phase. They kind of make stupid decisions. So if I'm playing one character, well, the AI, the computer, is taking over and playing that second and third character for me. So, but why are they making stupid decisions? Like, I'm walking around a death trap. There's a giant hole right there of fire or spikes, right? I'm making my way around it slowly and methodically. Why then is my NPC hitting it, walking right into it and getting points taken off of it? Just follow my path. Just follow my path. Or while I'm fighting this bad guy, why are you taking damage because you're literally standing right up in the boss's face? Come on over here where I am. Because I've mapped out the area and I realize it's safer over here. Why are you right up there losing hit points? Anyway, it's not terrible because it's actually kind of challenging a little bit because you're paying attention to your NPC and you're almost like, oh my God, she's almost dead. Let me switch over. Let me get some potions out to revive some hit points and then hop back over. It kind of keeps me on my toes, and so I kind of like that. But I did lose a few good men figuring that out at the beginning of the game. But guys, I love this game and I never feel lost in it. As you know, you get the travel log in the main menu. It helps you stay on task. And really, like any good RPG, there are a bunch of side quests that you can go on, like, hey, this mom lost her son. If you see him, can you give him this note, please? Sure, I'll do that. If I see your missing son, I'll look for him in the desert while I happen to be there. I love side quests, which help me, you know, level up. And of course, this is coming from the guy that, you know, loved Korok seed quests. My son used to make fun of me about it when we were playing Breath of the Wild. Like, you're going after all these Korok seeds? Yeah, I love finding out. Oh, there's a little Korok seed up there. I'm going to go on that little quest. Or trying to complete every Zelda shrine in Breath of the Wild. I loved it, you know? So give me a good side quest and I'm there. Or like in Spider-Man, right? Oh, there's a citizen in distress because of a purse snatcher? Spider-Man is coming to help you. I'm going to help you. Dr. Octopus can wait his damn turn. So I love a good side quest. So is this a great game, guys? Yes, it's a great game. Is it an excellent game? Let me just say this. I'm easily distracted, and if something can't hold my attention to keep me coming back, then I'll tell you the truth about it. So for me, this is the true test. Let me play this game for an hour and then see what I think. So the other night, I got in bed. I'm like, I'm going to play Trinity Trigger for the first time. Got all cozy. My wife put on her sleep mask. She said, hey, can you turn out my side of the lights? So I turned off her lights. She went to bed. I played Trinity Trigger because I was still a little wired. And I played it for about an hour. And then it was an hour and a half. And I couldn't put it down. And then I couldn't stop thinking about it. I went to bed kind of thinking about it. And then I woke back up, you know, the next morning and I picked it up again. First thing in the morning over my cup of coffee after the kids went off to school. And I sat there and just started playing with it over my cup of coffee for another hour. And then later in the afternoon, I had an afternoon break. And what did I do? I picked up the game again. I had a break in between the work I was working on and I picked it up for another hour. Yeah. So every time, you know, what's great about it is every time I'm picking it up for an hour, I'm sort of leveling up, I'm crafting new weapon augmentations, I'm processing the story, kind of going further in the story. I'm addicted to this game. So is it a great RPG? Yes. In my opinion, it's a great RPG. It's exactly what I want. I'm really loving Trinity Trigger. I'm glad my instincts were right on this one when I saw the artwork, when I saw the character design, when I heard the music, and I just ordered a physical copy of Trinity Trigger. They were kind enough to send me a review code, but I absolutely had to buy a physical copy of the game. I love it that much. So guys, that's my casual review of Trinity Trigger so far. Are you playing the game? Are you going to play the game? Let me know in the comments below any questions you have about the game. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you're playing it, what your thoughts are. And thank you guys so much for subscribing to the channel. It really, really helps. We're really loving all of your kind feedback. Miles, who is my 12-year-old co-host, just completed Legend of Zelda. He was on a school trip and he sent me a video completing Legend of Zelda. So that's the original game, of course, so we'll have an update video on that. If you missed our sort of introductory episode where I introduced my 12-year-old son Miles to the very first Legend of Zelda game, you need to go check out that video. He'd never played it before, he'd never seen it, so we fired up the NES and he had to play it for the very first time. We had a lot of fun experiencing that game together for the first time. A classic. So go check out that video, and we'll see you next time, everyone.